Wait, do we have a topic?
No, but we'll find one. Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to our first episode of 2025.
Season 2.
Yes.
Paradise Pump, baby. Anyway, so we're back.
Is anybody worried about 2025 like I am?
Yeah,
This
Certainly.
first year is going to be
day
crazy.
one, we
Mm.
stepped into a doozy on day one.
Right?
I'm just
Yeah,
trying to make more
absolutely.
money. Just trying to make that money, baby. Let's go. Let's make
let's make
get
money.
let's make
this
some
year.
money in 2025, right?
Yeah, this year.
Come on.
That's
Make
one of my
moves, make
worries.
money.
Legit, one of my worries is about the
It's
economy.
finances, really?
But
Mm.
then I find myself always worrying every year about that. It's like, when is it going to crash? When is it going to crash? I got to work as much as I can.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's that's forever gonna be a thing, right?
But see, it's good that you do worry about it, so that you're a little bit more prepared than underprepared, or just
Right.
like as we just talked about, going where the wind blows, kind of deal.
Yeah.
So if you guys can't tell, we've changed our format to Paradise Pump. We're going to be talking about finances, politics, and aliens. That's going to be
Yeah.
For the Rumble episodes.
politics.
Right.
No. We're still all about fitness
And
and,
the drones.
bodybuilding,
Yes.
but drones, yes,
And the fog. What's
Oh
the
my
weird
God.
fog? What are those drones?
right?
Yeah.
The mist.
Mhm.
Remember
Yes.
that?
We're
movie, The
actually
Mist?
And self-driving vehicles that happen to detonate in front of a
Yeah,
with
wasn't that fireworks?
with
Yeah, it
fireworks.
was fireworks.
Even though he
Hey,
was a
well, what about? Hey, this is a good
With
one.
a shot Green Beret. Like he's already
Yeah,
shot and dead
knowing
inside.
he knows how to make actual.
What is
real-
your guys' opinions? And this is a hot topic, right?
Mhm.
On the fireworks here in Hawaii, because a few people died now. A lot of innocent people.
Oh,
got,
that's a
they
good,
got
young
that's a
hit.
good topic.
people?
They got hit.
What,
They
6
weren't
people
even
got
involved.
transferred
They were
over
just
to
across
the
street.
mainland or something?
they just
Yeah.
transferred
Right.
today or yesterday.
Yeah.
Because
so-
the burn unit,
What
right?
do you guys think about this whole firework situation?
I
know?
heard, relating it back to fitness, there's a few individuals that are people that were working out of Powerhouse,
Mm.
friends of friends, and yeah, too close for comfort. And it was one of them that was just injured. He competed before as well too. So
Oh.
you never know. It's still part of the fitness community that we're a part of, and you
It's a
just
small
never.
island.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
a very small island.
very small island.
Mhm.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
thoughts on it are like I'm very much enjoyed the tradition of it. Like I was very upset when they banned it,
Mm.
but there is abuse in the fact that I totally sympathize for like people's pets. Like
Yeah.
and you know what? If you're gonna like bring in a bunch of illegal aerials and all kinds of stuff, especially those just absolute bombs, those booming
I hate
bombs.
those.
The salutes.
Yeah.
Those are worthless.
Yeah, like they literally
literally
almost
they're
crack the
worthless.
windows out of
Noise.
your
They're just annoying.
Yeah, right. And you know what? Fire away on New Year's, 4th of July, and Chinese New Year's, all right? Like those are the 3 that we see the fireworks on, over here. Fire away on those. But Jesus, not for a whole month straight prior to that.
Oh,
Like,
dude, this is
every
all year
single
round,
day
dude.
in November.
During the daytime.
Yeah, during the day, every single night. Boom, boom, and that's when everyone loses their pet.
During when they have MMA fight, a guy wins, fireworks.
Yeah.
They have NFL playing, a fucking Steelers win or something, or the Niners win. Oh, fireworks.
Graduation, fireworks.
Fucking- yeah,
First birthday,
dude, it's like-
fireworks. Funeral, fireworks. Weddings.
Hey, wedding, fireworks.
Yes, it is high.
Like it's just all
a huge
year
tradition
round.
here.
It's a
Yeah.
fucking annoyance.
And I love the
Yeah.
tradition of it and the culture of it, but just save it for those days, like the one days that have some respect
Yeah.
for your neighbors,
and
your neighbors' pets.
And Mel can say this too, because she actually grew up here too. But back in the 80s and in the 90s, it was a thing. Like you did not light off anything and you waited till New Year's Eve.
Mhm.
And mainly it was the red firecrackers. You would line them all up, and the whole street was lined up with the red with those red
Right.
firecrackers. We did the ones the ones that would shoot up from the ground.
Rockets.
Yeah, the bottle
Little
rockets.
rockets.
and
It
Bottle
wasn't only
stuff.
rockets
but it
and
was
Roman candles.
the candles
Yeah,
and whatever.
yeah.
We did those, but mainly the firecrackers, right?
Yeah.
And that was the big thing. And nobody lit them off. You were like, you do not light them off until New Year's Eve. It was like a huge deal.
Wow, that
You
changed,
wait.
huh?
Yeah, no, it was a big deal, and everybody just waited. And you were like, it was so exciting because you're like, oh man, we've been waiting. And
Yeah.
then when you light it off at midnight, it meant something, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
It was
yeah.
like so cool. Now I don't know what's going on. It's just like
Bragging rights.
who's got the biggest thing,
Yep.
Who's got the biggest fireworks?
Biggest,
Like,
coolest, most.
Oh,
It's
for
like-
I mean, they were launching them since Thanksgiving,
That's what I mean.
like in Waimanalo, just
It
launching them
totally
Boom.
negates
every single night.
the
too.
whole thing when you
Yeah.
do that.
And then there was some total asshole that was fucking blowing those super bomb ones,
Yeah.
the loud ones,
Yeah.
at 6 in the morning.
Oh, I want to kill
Like,
that
and they did that for like a week straight, like around 6 in the morning.
asshole.
Boom, boom. You know, it's close when you can hear the actual like
Come out of
report
the
of the
launcher,
coming out of
yeah.
the launcher. You know, it's like boom, boom. You know, like when you hear the boom, I'm like,
6
oh
a.m..
shit, here it comes. I got to grab my dog because he literally goes,
Yeah.
it's all freaking nuts.
So
Yeah.
there's
Well, those guys are assholes.
it's one thing. First off, in the 15, I've been here 16 years now. I've lived here longer than I've lived anywhere else. I'll say that. This is the only incident I've heard of people actually really getting hurt.
Yes,
Yeah.
All right.
it's the only incident I've ever
I
heard.
mean,
of
people have
anyone
been
dying.
getting hurt,
Yeah.
injuries, hand
Yeah.
injuries,
But
eye
not like
injuries,
this.
but not like this,
Not
right?
like
And
this.
you know, if people haven't learned yet, one thing you don't tell Americans to do is that we can't do something, so we're just going to do it
Oh
harder.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when you say you can't,
When they
do
banned
that,
it,
we're
it
gonna be like,
got
"Oh,
way
you
worse.
want to bet?
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
That's so true.
That's kind of like the American way.
Yep.
So as much as some Hawaiians like agree or disagree with mainland or American
fuck
mentality,
yeah.
they get American as fuck when a holiday comes around because they tell them like not do this, and then you can pull over the side of the road and just see the entire island just shooting
Yeah.
fireworks.
Oh my god, it's
Now,
crazy.
the solutions to this, I don't think, like I said, if you ban it, they're just going to go harder. I personally think you'd be better off teaching fireworks safety
Yep.
and making it not such a don't do that thing. Then people will not go as extreme and they'll be more safe with it. Anytime you ban something, people go more extreme.
Oh
with
yeah.
it.
Mm,
All right. So I'm more for education versus banning stuff.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know
That's a
what?
good
Did everybody see the governor's and mayor's address to this?
It was so hard to listen to. He's
I saw
so
the
annoying.
can't
I
stand
saw
him.
the mayor.
Yeah. Well, they're
But
talking about giving
yeah.
prison sentence for possession of them. Just possessing like
Straight
a set
communism.
amount is
Mhm.
will give you a automatic 5-year prison sentence. So now they want to put this bill instead of having to launch
Sales.
them, to see them launch.
Okay.
You know?
Oh, now you just have to have them.
Oh, now you just have to be caught with them, and you get an automatic 5-year
I
sentence.
see, I
Like
see.
so but here's the thing, yeah, because it's like this is the thing that drives me nuts about our own federal government and our state government is very much in tune with this shit. Like, okay, it's tragic. There's no doubt that we had 3 people that died, or 4, is it now? Or,
It's like 2 to 4.
yeah,
So I hear.
I mean, it's tragic. And all life, loss is a terrible thing in that sense, But thousands are dying from fentanyl, and they do zero to slow that shit down. They don't give a crap about our health and whether we die or not for fentanyl. Because if they did, just like we care about, like whether you get, when they learned that C-19 didn't, when the C-19, and then they're like, all of a sudden, we care about your health.
Mm.
No, you don't. No, you don't. So they sent out all these free PCR tests turns out they were like 90% ineffective garbage,
Yeah. They had to recall them, I think.
Right. But if you really gave a shit about it, because the number one killer amongst the young men now is fentanyl,
Mhm.
and
Is it
And
really?
they
Yeah.
came out
Wow.
with a stronger strain of fentanyl as well. I forgot what it was called. It was just announced in the news a
You're
little
right,
bit
they
ago.
did.
And
When
it takes less than like a pencil tip.
When
to
it's
die
getting in
from
all these
overdose.
like
But you know
drugs,
what?
right?
Like,
all the party drugs, right?
if our governments gave a shit, every single household would have a bottle of Narcan.
Yep,
That they should.
I believe
Every
so.
single household.
Yeah.
It would be accessible at all the schools.
Everywhere.
accessible
It would be
everywhere.
like free flu shot, free Narcan.
Mhm.
But how come you don't see that? Because they don't care.
Did you see the governor's AOC style photos in front of the house?
The photo op.
Yeah, the photo op he did, like
No.
kneeling down and staring at the garage and all that
Mm.
crap.
Well, it was
Yeah.
that.
I think it is called.
It is a
cake,
cake.
right?
It's a
right?
birthday
Yeah,
cake
yeah,
of it looks like a birthday cake, and it launches like these little
Right.
Oh, one of
Aerials.
those.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, so it
yeah.
has different ones through
Right.
it.
And I
Yeah.
guess they had lit that, and that fell over,
Yeah.
launching the stuff like into their stash.
Yeah.
of mortars and stuff.
Yep.
Dude, you know he's
So they-
going
That's dumb though. So wait, so they actually lit it and then it just
fell over.
went
Yeah.
into-
Well, they had it up on like a card
See,
table.
so what he's saying is sense, like fire safety, like, hey,
Right,
all your explosives should be stored into some cabinets,
separated.
right,
in a metal cabinet separate. Put it out here, light that, grab that,
Yeah.
light that.
right.
People with common sense would do that,
Yeah, right.
but you know, these are the same guys that are jacking their car up on the hill, no jack stand, going underneath, and the car falls on them.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, what happened?" Well, let me see.
Without any wheel chocks or
Yeah,
anything.
no wheel
Right,
chocks,
yeah.
no jack stands. But this is what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah.
Like people don't think things
Common
through.
sense.
But let me see. Was there alcohol involved? Maybe.
Absolutely a lot.
100%.
I mean,
I mean, come on.
I
you know.
wasn't there, but there are telltale signs of alcohol and abuse of other things and such.
You know, like, so
um,
you're lighting explosives, fireworks. You're drunk.
Yeah.
I mean,
But that's everybody on New
I know.
Year's,
No,
honestly.
I'm just saying.
yeah,
Though, but
like
think about
yeah,
it, right?
like there's
It's just like
I would say the percentage of sober people lighting those fireworks is like very little.
probably.
did you
Yeah.
guys
It was a tragic accident, and a freak kind of tragic accident,
All it takes is one.
and it's awful. It's awful, but it's like, and here's another thing. So many of us that are not in law enforcement or any of that, like we know where the shit's coming from. Like we know who the big dealer is that sells them, right?
No, I
How-
don't know them.
But I mean,
I
like
don't know.
I was like, not me.
but how do you not? How like if this is your priority and it's been for years, how do you not know who's like selling them? How do you not
Well, I don't
know?
specifically know, but I know
it's an island.
I
Yeah.
know, I know parts of it, but I don't specifically know the guy. I
Yeah.
don't know the guy.
Well, I definitely know the guys that know the guys. You know,
right,
you know what I
right.
mean?
Well, I know the guy
That actually bring them in by the container loads.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's
Oh.
insane.
the whole
I have
thing
no
is that-
association.
but the whole thing is like you really can't stop it at the dock. Like there's a payoff happening right there, guaranteed. Because every container gets looked at, right? Except what are they got?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
yes, good
Yeah.
one, allegedly.
I work at the dock, so allegedly every
okay.
container gets checked.
Allegedly.
Did you guys see where the governor is going to go to Washington to speak about, I guess, against RFK's appointment?
And
What?
where he
You're supposed to be like
Right.
Dr. Governor Green,
Is he really?
and you have a guy his only goal is to make everything healthy and bring up the standards of health in America, and you're
fixed this
and
whole
you're gonna go
insurance
give your two
debacle
number
and
one.
everything.
I doubt anybody watching gives a fuck what you think.
Right. No kidding.
Yeah, you're just. I mean, and I said he's speaking about it. He didn't say he was speaking for or against, but if he's speaking against, and he's supposed to be this thing, he doesn't look like a fucking poster boy of health, but he's supposed to be a doctor or whatever, and he's gonna go speak against RFK getting in there.
Right.
You're crazy. That's just
Well,
the most
that's-
hypocritical shit.
What drives me nuts about that whole thing is how can anyone dispute what RFK is saying about this stuff? And he's not anti.
No.
Is it crazy talk
Just
about
with the
all the
food and
poisonous
stuff, too,
additives in
like-
our food? Like that's not crazy talk. Is it crazy talk that the insurance companies literally dictate the actual procedures that we get medically? That's not crazy talk. Like that shit everyone agrees with. So how do you dispute any of that? They're only
No,
doing it for
absol-
political
let
reasons.
Josh Green absolutely dispute it. Let him
Yeah.
hang himself with his own rope. That'd be awesome.
I mean,
Because
just
he needs to get the F out of here.
just the stuff that he's gonna do with making the food better and everything.
I know. Like
Just that
yeah.
alone, you should be supporting the guy.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, there's so much poison.
But
in
a
food
lot
right
of
now.
doctors, I'm not saying it's him because I don't know about him and his practice. A lot of doctors are captured by this whole cabal of like these capitalists that are like literally profiting off of our sickness,
Mm.
and there's a
yeah,
lot.
that's why, like, when it was back in 2021, he had his whiteboard talking about
Oh my
numbers and
God.
all of that bullshit.
Mhm.
He was all for it. I don't know. He could straight face on the news endorse Biden and Kamala Harris, talking about they'd be like the ideal candidates for this.
That's why I think sometimes these people
How
are
do you
actors.
do it straight face, dude? That's crazy.
Like sometimes I look back and I see some stuff these people say on TV, and like Kamala screwing up the Pledge of Allegiance.
My
And,
God,
and I'm sitting there
it's not
thinking,
that-
this can't be real. This has to be a script that they've written,
Right,
and they're
I know.
fucking with us.
It's fucking
the Pledge of
crazy.
Allegiance is not
Like,
that
so
it can't be
true.
real.
No,
How
I
did
agree.
someone like that get that high up in the
Yes.
government?
I agree. Like there's no way this has to be like a spoof. Like, there's no way our government officials are this fucking incompetently stupid.
Some Truman Show shit. There's some people higher up
Some
just watching
Truman
on TV, laughing their asses off, like that are writing the scripts.
I
And
mean,
shit.
I wish there was anyone can point to a speech or anything that she said intelligently,
Mhm.
and I'll give that credit to her speechwriters, but even her speechwriters aren't intelligent. Like, because
I wonder if
I've
they
heard
had to
nothing
write that.
intelligent,
Yeah,
I
you
wonder
know?
if they were paid to write that,
the word salads.
her word salads.
No, like I think she goes off script like Biden does, because I think out of any White House sitting cabinet member, she had the most turnover in her
Yeah, she
Yeah,
did.
she
She
did.
sure
That's not
did. But
good.
it
like
went mum's the word
and
on
her
that.
speechwriters were quitting, like how many, like 10 of them or something?
Oh, really? Oh,
Like, yeah, they were like, oh my God.
you can't.
I mean, could you imagine could you imagine going around on your resume? I was Kamala Harris's speechwriter. Like, you're
Right.
fired.
Yeah.
Like it's like
You
you're
ain't
fired.
getting a
Yeah.
Don't even
job.
put that down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not representing my company in any
Yeah.
shape or manner. Like,
But for the people who adamantly think that they should have been the rightful people to the next presidency, that's crazy.
to me, I have to assume those people are just
Unhinged.
no, just unknowledgeable, like completely like detached voters that
From
just
reality.
they heard a couple of
Mm.
like they read a couple of headlines about Trump bad, Kamala's going to save us, and they know nothing about it, because as soon as you watch one thing that Kamala does or says, you're just like, what?
So
There's no way.
here's what I think about that. Some of the people in certain communities that say this stuff is because they only hear they don't venture out of that community to see what the real world is
Yeah.
like
Right.
outside of there. And you guys both probably know what I'm talking
Everyone's
about.
little micro bubble.
So they all stay in their pack and they all just regurgitate the same shit.
Yeah,
And so they all
tribalism.
start believing it, but none of them are ever afraid to actually step out and go talk to other people and see
Mm-hmm.
how how it really is.
See, but and on top of that note as well too, they're supposed to be the side of inclusivity and all of that other stuff. But then once you start stepping outside of the box, then they actually really like shun you away. Like,
Yeah.
what traitor? Fuck you.
Oh yeah. The minute you speak against what the pack
Yeah.
believes in, they will.
Yeah.
I've heard about it from other people, and
Oh.
it's crazy. Like you're all preaching open mindedness and stuff.
Mhm.
But you guys are closed minded as
Joy.
fuck.
Aren't they supposed to be the party of joy?
Yeah, and being open minded and all this, and they're not. They just
When
angry.
when you're campaigning on a word like joy, you're done. Like that means you have no substance
No.
whatsoever.
You're
Like,
done.
you just don't. Like, I mean, like
Let's
there's
not,
so much wrong with our country, and your thing is joy. Like, how about like the wealth gap that is just insanely just been
Yeah.
increasing.
the
Like,
border.
yeah, the border. My God, the immigration problem, the fentanyl problem coming in
Mhm.
here. There's just the fact that we're just at the verge of World War III. You know what I mean? It's just like, and now
On more
we
than
let
one
in
front.
like 100,000 like people that were on the terrorist watch list that are just roaming America now, like with sleeper
Yeah.
cells and all kinds of. There's
Mhm.
so much wrong with
Not to
America.
mention the drone stuff, and nobody knows. You don't get that close to America without someone finding out who you are.
Yeah,
So we already know the government's lying to us about that.
100%. Did you see the whole Sean Ryan? Like,
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
You
that was
did, right?
scary. That was crazy. I
yeah,
saw the
that
clips
guy
from
looked
it.
just like you, by the way. I'm like, is that not Jed or what? Like
Yeah.
didn't he, the intelligence analyst? I'm like, that was
Yeah.
like, it was a spitting image of you. Even sound the same.
That's
I was like, oh my God, it's your brother. Or
Yeah.
what do they call it? Doppelganger or something?
Doppelganger,
Yeah.
yeah.
Your doppelganger.
Yeah, I
But
saw
yeah,
some
that
clips
was
from
like,
it.
that was like that whole Afghanistan.
So,
like,
but think about
Yeah.
it. The way that the trajectory that these people, these agencies have been painting out a picture to be, and then ever since what happened into 24, we can see now that, like how Elon Musk said, we are the news. There's so much more underground
Thank
people who
God.
are doing research and small little community groups that are debunking what these agencies are putting out the picture to be. Like, if I'm just gonna say it, passports seem to be just like fucking indestructible.
I was
They
going to
should
say
make
that too,
they
right?
should make fire
How is
retardant
that? How is that?
suits with passports.
I know.
I'm just saying
It was like
they
the only
they
thing that survived in that
Right,
Tesla was the
right.
guy's freaking
and
passport.
9/11.
You
That's
know?
the only thing that
You know,
survived.
you know what I think is going to
Yeah.
happen? I
That's
think
so
this
amazing.
first 6 months to a year is going to be insane because
Yes.
everybody's going to be pulling the last ace out of their sleeve to
Yep,
try to undo
right.
what's done.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
then about 2 years in, everybody's going to be like, you know what? This
Hey,
ain't that bad.
Right.
This
It's
is not as bad as they said. I'm doing pretty
actually, I
good.
have more money in my pocket. I'm
Yeah.
working less. This is the groceries are down.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
maybe I'll just, I don't like the,
I'll
what?
go
You're not
with it.
supposed to like the guy.
Yeah.
Like that's not
Yeah.
that's not a requirement to
Yeah.
be a good boss or
Right,
manager
right.
is liking the guy. In
Yeah.
fact, some of the people I liked working for while I worked for them, I couldn't fucking stand them.
Mhm.
I didn't become friends with them until after I'd quit or moved on to another job.
Mm,
And that even goes when I was in the military. Like some of the guys that like would get up my ass and I couldn't stand, I now see why they were like that.
mm.
And I'd work for them again, knowing how they are.
Yeah.
You're not
Right.
supposed to like it. You're just supposed to pick who does it the best.
Yeah, right.
That's
you
what I
do.
like about America as well, too. As far as the freedom of speech, you can have an opinion, you can have whatever, and
Oh, they're working on
Mhm.
taking that away. You can see.
but at the same time, we have a objective and a goal to accomplish. You can have your opinion, that's fine, but we still need to get to the other end of the finish line. And unfortunately, sometimes you have to work with these people, and we can go down like huge rabbit holes with this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but speaking
I
of
could go
getting
on
kind
for
of back
hours and
onto
not
the
repeat
subject
myself.
of government,
Well,
back to the
That's
subject
how
of
much
government.
substance
Like,
there
how
is
much
in
of the
this whole thing.
government do we actually trust with with medicine, with
Almost
news, with
none.
everything? So even like all of this stuff that they come out, like we talked about before, the use of steroids. Could you imagine if it was well studied, how much more further in advance we
yeah.
would be versus
Oh yeah.
studying other
Because
shit?
because they did change some of the laws on it, that, and it's funny that it wasn't really announced, and I didn't know, but some of the laws they did lighten up on some of the laws on like some of the steroids on actually possessing certain steroids and stuff. It's not as strict as it was before.
Hmm.
They are still big on like if you're a dealer or whatever, if you're
Yeah,
selling it.
absolutely, because
Oh, it's
they need to make the
but it's
money.
interesting. I didn't even know this. I was like looking it up one day and I was like, what? And it changed. And I was like, interesting. Okay. So something happened and they decided to back off of it.
Well, you know what the thing is? This is how I always felt about it. Like when we had Operation Gear Grinder. You remember that?
Yeah, because
Were, were they actually?
I got
Yes.
arrested.
Oh,
then,
okay.
Jeff.
You're
You
right.
remember
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got
Well,
arrested during
yeah.
Operation Gear Grinder, dude. Thanks.
Where they actually, I mean, but how's this? They actually sent DEA agents and federal police and even certain like jurisdiction state police into Mexico to raid freaking pharmacies.
Dispensaries?
Yeah.
Wow.
And dispensaries and stuff. Like
Well, that's wild.
they literally did that, right?
Yet all the drugs are in Mexico.
Heroin
Yeah.
came
Yeah,
over from
right.
Mexico, like in like after Pablo, like that
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
All that heroin distribution went through Mexico after
Right.
that, and it was just coming over by like the shipping containers full,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like the whole ship, like
Yeah.
just massive amount, And then the weed. You
Yeah.
see those? Like,
Yeah.
could you imagine like being in like bumfuck fucking Kentucky and getting caught with that giant fucking square bundle of weed on your back? You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah.
done. Like you're going away. You remember when we used to get caught with a gram and they're like,
Right.
oh, felony, but
Right, right.
you're going to jail for 30 days. These guys come across with fucking like 35-pound bundles on their back,
Yeah.
and they're just like, drop it. Now walk back across the border, guys.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, what? It's like the amount of drugs. It's just absolutely fucking disgusting. So why did they go after steroids so hard? Because it's a low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
See,
It's
that's
like
the thing.
steroid users aren't
Yeah.
most 99% of steroids are not like street criminals
Right.
going
Right.
around harming people.
Yeah,
and
they're not
they're
gonna
not
shoot
robbing
somebody.
liquor stores for their
Exactly.
D-ball dose.
Yeah.
They're not fucking
Give me that
ripping off
Anadrol.
mom and pop stores, right, to get their
Exactly.
freaking
So like you
tests.
said, low hanging fruit, easy to get, easy to convict.
Yep. Look
easy to
what
get
we did.
stats.
We're protecting America. How many
Right.
people die from
And their
steroids?
stats get
Actually, medically, not one.
Look at
Nobody.
all the other
Nobody.
countries
Not
where
one.
you can just walk
Fucking
in and
waste of
buy
time.
it, and there's not piles of dead bodies all over the
Yeah,
pharmacy
no.
everywhere.
Like Thailand?
Yeah.
Right.
Thailand,
Oh,
you can go right in and buy it.
You
Right.
can go across the world and buy it. Let me tell you, almost every place sells it legally.
Mexico.
Like seriously,
Mexico still sells it legally.
Mexico,
They
and then
advertise
Saudi
it.
Arabia even sells it. Hello, like
Yeah,
you
they
go-
advertise it in their windows. D-ball.
Dude, It's
you know,
right. Yeah. I mean,
Nandrolone.
all these places you can just go. Even in Europe, there's places that sell
Yeah.
it like legally. It's freaking United States, man.
in the
It's, like,
UK,
ridiculous.
it's like you can I don't think you can either sell or buy, but as long as you have it, it's for your personal
Yeah.
use. They don't do anything.
Now,
Telling
because
you.
they did and I know I'm thinking part of the reason why they changed the laws because the TRT thing is becoming huge now and it's
Mm.
really big. And there's a lot of companies and businesses that are making a lot of money off of this
Yep.
now. So I think they had to kind of like do something with it and back off a little bit because now people are getting
Big
prescribed.
pharma needs to have their hand in it.
Right, right.
That's the
Yeah.
And
whole deal with
it became a prescription drug now, more
Yeah.
like, okay, we're going to classify it more
And in
as a
the
regular
conversation that
prescription
we
drug.
had maybe 2 shows ago, I'm really adamant about it. They want to keep us betas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so true.
Well, because you remember they had it classified before as the same as heroin and cocaine.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Like who the
a Scheduled
fuck
1.
wrote that bill?
Yeah, right.
That
Somebody who
motherfucker,
doesn't use
piece of shit.
steroids.
That fucking piece of shit senator, whoever that was, or what?
Well, you
Yeah,
know
no,
how
that was so stupid.
you know how it all came about. It all came
Well,
about
Ben,
with
Ben Johnson Olympics.
yes,
But
Well,
and
and
then
then the Jose
whoa,
Canseco book
and
too.
then
Yeah.
baseball. No, it was baseball.
Yeah.
It's Ben Johnson Olympics.
but I
then
think it started
baseball.
with Ben Johnson in the
Ben
Olympics
Johnson, it
because
started.
America was humiliated
Yeah.
Yes.
that they actually had to forfeit that goal.
Well, that was Canada.
Yeah, huh? Or Canada?
Canada. That was
Oh,
Canada.
oh,
Then
that
we had
Ben
the-
Johnson.
Ben
was?
Johnson.
Oh,
He was Canada.
yeah, but
Yeah.
no, we had an American.
No. We had
Who was the
um,
American
Was
one?
Lance
No, it
Armstrong
was
with that EPO as well too?
no
Yeah,
EP.
yeah.
But that was later. No, the guy who lost to Ben Johnson.
Mhm.
Shit, he was a multi-medalist. God, he was another black guy, really crazy good track. Like he did all track and field. Was it Lewis? Something. Anyway,
And then we had that woman too.
he was phenomenal, but he lost to Ben Johnson.
Mm.
The track woman,
Yeah.
Kersey,
Oh, Flojo.
Flojo.
Oh no, not wasn't
Jackie
Flojo. It
Joyner
was
Kersey, or was it one
Marion
I can't think of it.
Dude.
Joyner. No, not Joyner. Wait, no,
How would
it
you-
wasn't Kersey. I can't remember. But yes, but she
Yeah,
went on.
She
the stand.
popped.
She got gel. Actually, they put her in gel for a little while
did they?
because she had lied
Mm.
on the stand at first.
So that's another thing, right? Here's another thing, right?
Now,
So
what's her name?
the whole
Anyway,
this whole steroid thing.
look it up, Jed. No,
Whose
Yeah.
name? Whose
No.
name?
no. The lady,
She
the
was
one
a
Olympic-
female track
the
runner
Olympic
that,
track
got
athlete.
popped.
and then she lied, but then she got gel. She got put
Was
in
it
gel for a
recent?
while. No, it wasn't
No,
too
this was
recent.
this was a
It
no,
was-
this was a
I
long
mean, it
time
wasn't
ago.
in the 90s. It was like 2000s.
She won the gold, and then like
Marion Jones.
Marion
yeah,
Jones. Yeah,
Marion
that's what I
Jones,
said.
yeah,
I said
right,
Marion.
yeah.
So that was the one. Funny thing is,
But then you're right. It moved to baseball and all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But and then you got Barry Bonds, and you had
Mark McGuire.
Mark McGuire,
yeah,
and not
Baseball
a
was so
single
awesome.
athlete, not one, has ever gone to jail for any of these crimes.
yeah.
Right, and not a single one has actually ever got
No.
caught.
Yeah.
It was only they admitted to taking it, or they were accused of it by another like player. None of them like actually positive to where there was a repercussion for doing that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like, okay, if that was the number one goal, then why the hell are you putting Joe Blow from the corner gym down there in jail for having possession of like, I don't know, a GH kit and like 2 bottles of test?
Yeah.
It's like,
Actually, they didn't mess with GH. They won't even convict people on that one, which is weird. They never really. They'll just be like, "Oh, GH, okay, no," but steroids, yeah.
mm,
They don't really care about GH.
So
but anyway,
Jose Canseco put out that book, Juice.
yeah.
yeah.
And that talked about all the steroid use. I think that's what got it really going in baseball.
It
That
really-
and the home run.
Well, the
race.
home run derby thing.
That was
yes.
against was that Sosa and Mark McGuire, and then Barry
Yes.
Bonds had one
Yeah.
later on, a few
Then
years
Bonds,
later.
and then they ended up stripping Bonds of all of his records.
Yeah.
And is that when like Victor Conte like
Yeah.
was exposed
The clear
and the clear and all that,
his drug, yeah.
and Patrick Arnold?
Yep.
Who was
yep,
who was the guy that the Netflix did a documentary on that was teaching those guys how to beat the tests?
Oh yeah, yeah.
remember
That
that?
was that was the Russian. That was
It was some
Inferus.
guy like he knew how to write the cycles to when to come off to where they could pass the test
Oh.
for baseball, and he was doing it for like these top.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
yeah, it's on Netflix. It's
But Icarus was a phenomenal.
oh, that's a good one
Yeah.
about
That
the
was a really
cycling
good
team.
one.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was
You know
really
what's
good.
crazy though with the test and stuff. So like Marion Jones, her coach, trainer, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and she was, I don't know, if she was married to him. She was dating him. No, I met the guy
Oh really?
years later. Yeah.
Whoa, wow.
At a gym, I was bodybuilding and then training, and I met him, and he knew one of my other friends, and then we all went to go eat lunch.
Mm.
And then he was like, "Oh yeah," and I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I used to date her," and he used to be Olympic shot putter, and
Oh,
he
yeah?
was telling me a bunch of stuff about how they would pass these tests, and he's like, all these people are on it. He's like, "Oh my god," he's like, "You have no idea. So many people are taking it. But a lot of times I said, so don't you guys are running gear. He's like, oh no, we kind of know, like, okay, what are they looking? What are they going to be testing for? And then we stay off of certain things and we do this. And he was telling me all this stuff. And I was just like, that's freaking wild. And yeah, he goes, believe me. He goes, all these guys are on it. So many people are on it.
Because if don't they have to do like multiple tests, and if one of them is wrong,
Yeah,
then the whole
there's a
thing's thrown
whole
out. Like they
there's
all
a whole
have to
bunch
do the
of
same.
stuff, right? And he was saying that it was weird. He was like, they load up on certain things. He's like, we will run this like crazy because we
And
know
they
they're
were
not
doing,
going to look for that.
and they were doing
And
like
then they'll look for this, and
they
they're very specific on what they're looking for.
they were doing like a lot of different suspensions too with no esters, right? So it
Yeah,
was in and out of your system.
yeah.
You know.
Those are fun.
Yeah.
Because then
Yeah.
I just, yeah, I thought it was fascinating. I thought, oh, they're looking for anything, but they're not necessarily looking for anything. They're being more specific when they're doing
Pretty
those
much telling the
tests.
athletes what to take.
They're
Well, no,
looking
because there is
for
no
specific
there
things.
is no steroid test that tests for like all like nandrones or
Right,
all
right.
that. You have to test for the
For the
individual,
individual
yeah,
one,
the very
right?
individual
So apparently
compound,
that's, I
and that's
guess,
an expensive like
Yeah.
test.
And
Oh,
only
yeah.
on this, and I think UCLA, and then there's another lab in Europe that
it's
does
in
it.
LA. Yeah, I know because when I got busted
Oh, yeah,
using
military
in
sends
the
it to
Coast Guard, they
UCLA.
sent it to UCLA.
Yeah, I had the same
Olympic
issue happen.
testing, right? I was like, wow, that's kind of cool.
Well, I
like-
mean, this is how you know how failed it is, because the most stringent testing procedure in the world is the World Anti-Doping Association,
Yeah,
the WADA
the
test,
WADA.
right?
WADA, yeah.
WADA tested Lance Armstrong over 500 times,
Yeah.
and he passed 500 tests, and he was dirty 500 times.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
and he admitted that I was on every single
Yeah.
test that they
Right.
tested me on, and
See?
I always came up clean.
Yeah.
So, what does that tell you?
Lance Armstrong did some pretty extreme stuff, though.
You know, you
He
could
had
take-
some friends.
Yeah,
you
That's
could
what it
take-
tells me.
He had some friends, yeah.
You could go take the same shit he took, and you're not going to do what he did.
Well, yeah.
Right.
let's
Yeah.
be
Oh, yeah.
honest.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean,
Well,
the
then
guy was.
they
You're
came
right.
out after that. They found out that all these other teams were doing stuff too.
Well, that was the premise.
Guys who were coming in 10th place were on gear.
Oh, yeah. Well, that
Hello?
was, yeah.
You're in 10th place.
That was the premises of Icarus, because the actual American coach
Yeah.
who didn't want to go on, who didn't want, because that cyclist asked that guy, "Oh, can you teach me how to pass the test?"
Yes,
He's like,
yes, I
I'm not
remember
getting
that.
involved in that, because I'm
Yeah.
still the active WADA president, the head of
Mm.
WADA. And then when he did offer this to him, he said, well, how prevalent do you think the steroid use is in even the American Olympics team?
Mm,
And he says, if they want a gold medal, they're on steroids.
mm.
And he
You
went
got-
through the whole process
Yeah.
of how Russia
Right.
rigs the tests, like
Yep.
how they counterfeit the bottles and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, and they're all friends, right? The Russian like head of WADA is the friends with American, and is the head of the Chinese.
Mm.
And they said, yep, all the Russians are on juice and all the Chinese are on juice too.
Because it's morale booster for whoever's leading the country if they get the more gold medals. That's why
Absolutely.
they
It's a
said
huge
Russia was
financial
doing it.
booster
Well,
too.
and let's be honest, the numbers, right? Like people want to see, like, you know, these numbers, like world records are being broken,
World
there's
Yeah.
American records being.
Yep.
If everybody got off and you see all these numbers coming, they're like, oh wow, he was half a second slower than
Yeah.
the last year. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean?
But
Like,
could you imagine like the government's actually admitting that, because you're seeing like these prime athletes and they're not dropping dead.
no, they're not
You know what
jumping,
I mean?
and they're
Like-
still breaking records,
Yeah.
dude.
And it's just like, these are like super healthy people, and they're like, because they want to.
Oh, they only
Dude-
were dropping dead after they
Yeah.
took the-
Oh, wow. You're going there.
You're going back to that one.
But you had a point. These are like extreme athletes,
Right.
healthy as F, and
Right.
they're just dropping dead, you know,
Mhm. Yeah.
allegedly
I
from
mean,
just
Allegedly. No, it's
crazy.
not allegedly. They're dropping dead. But
From-
whether
allegedly
allegedly,
from
what
the
is
study.
causing
Oh,
it is
yeah.
like.
Yeah, what is causing it?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's bizarre too,
much-
like
too
how
much
they're
DECA.
dropping dead. They're just
Too
like,
much DECA, guys.
Too-
yeah, too much DECA. That's
and
what it
that's
is.
the thing too. Like how much of the government do you trust, or how much you would have to take responsibility for your own health?
Mm.
I'll
you
tell
know?
you this: I trusted the government very little before the pandemic, and not at all after. Like, I had no idea. Like, if there was one organization in the government that I thought I would that I trusted, and that would be the CDC. I'm like, how do
Oh,
you
God.
like get that corrupted? Like, what is like your whole job is to prevent pandemics around the world, you know? Like, but holy Christ, were they were as corrupted as the FDA, which I knew was just awful. They were just as bad, if not worse than any other. And then the World Health Organization, you start learning about the wackos that are running that.
Hmm.
I'm like, here's another one that I thought was good.
Well, Trump's already said he's withdrawing out of that as soon as
Yes,
he gets in
and
there.
he needs to. It's like then you learned, like, when you started really diving in and learning about these level 4 labs and all that kind of stuff. Then you learned, like, oh, interesting. You mean our last
Gain of
polio
function
outbreak
labs.
was a
Yeah.
lab leak?
Yeah.
Our last smallpox was a lab leak? Remember Lyme disease?
Yeah.
Lyme disease was a lab, like literally a lab gain of function bioweapon that they tried to insert into ticks so they could drop these ticks off in the enemies type of thing. And that lab that they did that was like in Vermont. And that's where
Well,
the
that's
outbreak of
why
Lyme disease
it's
came.
all
And
yeah
it came
on the
in
East
what?
Coast.
In deer ticks.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah.
but you look into it, that's exactly what they were trying to engineer, these deer ticks to like hold this Lyme disease and pass it on.
You know,
Like, what the hell?
we go and we join
wild.
these like climate coalitions and the WHO
Oh,
and
that's a whole nother
CDC.
topic.
And it's like so they can. And I'm going to sound arrogant. I don't give a shit. And they tell us, America, you need to do this regulation, that regulation. Like, dude, fuck you. We're America. Like, we set the fucking standard.
That's right.
Like, you do. Like, how about we master how to do it because we're going to before you, and then you fucking listen to us. I get tired of this shit that we have to listen to everybody else.
And that's something that after diving into this whole topic as well too, I learned, because I always thought like these the they people, like they are doing this to us, they are doing that, like these evil like leaders that are looking to control the masses and stuff. I always thought it was like a national thing, like, oh, these are like American banking billionaires and stuff. No, these are globalists that they're doing this shit throughout the globe.
What's the place in Sweden or Switzerland, wherever they meet every year?
Yeah, Davos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's a global cabal of leaders, and they're not just Americans, and I'm just like, it's just these sick, evil, like just evil control freaks that want to just
Once you make so much money, making
Yes,
money no longer
that's what
gets
it
your
is.
rocks off. So you have to start doing crazy shit.
Yep.
Yep.
Like trafficking, trying to take over the world, things like that.
Yes.
Because, making money no longer. I mean, after what $1 billion. I mean, for the average American, after like 20, if you were 20 million, like how much more do you need after that?
Well, think about this. This is like, somebody put this in perspective to me one day. It's like when you're so rich that you can afford anything in the world.
Yeah.
The craziest car, the craziest like jet, the biggest yacht, all that kind of shit. If you can have anything you want like that, you would be dead inside because you
Yeah.
have nothing to like work for, nothing to like strive for. It's like if you can have self gratification right now at any given time, I can make this purchase or this purchase. I mean, think about how
doesn't-
good it feels to have a brand new car.
Yeah, that's why Jed was saying it doesn't do it for them. So that's why they like to do these
So
extreme
the only
things,
thing that
just
gets
like
their rocks
human
off is
hunting.
controlling others.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's human control.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
control. Yeah, because
Right.
that's power, right? Like that's a lot of power.
You guys,
Well,
you
that
guys,
goes back
go ahead.
to, I mean,
And
we go
absolute
back
power
hundreds of
corrupts
years of
absolutely. Yeah,
royal kings controlling people,
it's
Hitler.
but it's
I
the
mean,
human
let's just-
psyche.
We go back,
But
right?
it's
I
the
mean,
human psyche, and I'm not
of
even
just
sure.
being
Like,
control.
I'm not
human
sure
control.
any of us are immune to it. Like, if we were so rich and we could afford
Absolute
anything,
power corrupts. Is
yeah,
that the thing?
like
right?
I don't think anyone's immune to that unless there's something a little bit off about you, where you just don't think about that stuff.
Well, that's where like religion steps in a little bit, right?
I mean,
People-
and some people they start giving back once they get up to a certain amount of wealth.
They do,
They start giving
yeah.
back, building
Yeah.
actual organizations. to
There's
help
good
or
people
helping
that are
others.
wealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a
mean-
lot of those extreme wealth guys that give back, that so-called philanthropy, you look into it. they're
Yeah, it's a
earning on that
guys.
shit. Like they're not really.
See, but
like,
the thing is, what I was trying to
like
explain.
Mr. Beast.
So as I was saying, so like it goes back to that. I mean, knowing what we know now, how many people are gonna fall for the okie doke? Like we have more people in numbers than there are these extreme elitists.
Right.
So that's why they want to cause so much separation and division amongst us. And, like all of that bullshit when it came down to people segregating themselves to whatever demographics you are, whether you be Asian American, white American, Black American, we're all fucking Americans. Like,
Yeah.
That shit
America's not
gets
really a
me,
race
dude.
thing. It's a culture thing. If
It's
you're
a
an
culture
American, you're
thing.
part of a culture.
Mhm.
Mm.
That's
Right.
made
but
up
they
of all
want
different
to
types.
they try to perpetuate division so that we are against each other because united we stand, divided we fall. So if people were smart enough, yeah, we actually could go against these globalists because there's more of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Like
they control they control the media, who controls the narrative and
but
controls the flow of
but we
information.
understand all of that
Right.
now. Majority of the people, like, we've come to that tipping point where majority of the people know that all of these things are propaganda, they're controlled. So it's up to us to whether or not we're going to play into their games or we're going to stand up for ourselves. Like,
what would
even,
happen if everybody just said we're not paying taxes
yeah,
this year?
exactly.
1 year. Everybody was like, we're not paying taxes this year.
The
Yeah.
government wouldn't feel the pinch, not one bit.
Yeah, but you can't arrest the entire country.
No, I know.
So it's
But
like,
they
what do you
wouldn't feel
do?
the pinch because they just literally print.
Or even if
They don't need our
everybody
tax
said,
dollars. They
no,
just print.
I'm
No.
Sell
body
bonds.
Right.
autonomy and I'm taking control of my body. If everybody said, nope, we're not getting the shot.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes from that little thing to everything else. But
I would love it because
that's why they want us weak, so nobody can make up their
What they'll
minds
do is they'll arrest certain people. This is what
and
they
try
do.
to make,
This is what they do,
yeah,
right? They'll arrest certain people, and they'll be like, "We're
see what
coming, we're coming
happened.
for everybody," and then
Yeah,
and then it
scare,
stops.
fear.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but
That's what they did when people were like downloading music. Remember that
yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
well,
And
look
it
what
was so random. Certain people got arrested, but I think it was
well
because
look what they
they
did
were trying to
are
scare
doing
people.
with that Luigi Mangione.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you ever
Oh,
seen a perk walk like that ever? Like Chapo himself didn't get such a big perk walk like that when they were walking him out of that plane.
yeah,
He
yeah.
had like 90 freaking armed officers around him.
Mhm.
I'm like,
But with
first
the
off, this kid is innocent until proven guilty, and you're walking him like he's like the worst thing.
but with this Luigi guy, like, a lot of normies are in support of what he did, his movement,
Right.
taking out this
Yeah.
thing. So, like, people are awaking
No,
to
but this
this.
is their response to that. Like they see that, so that they're making a spectacle out of this kid. They're
Oh
charging,
yeah, it's showing like, hey, be like him. Guess
Yeah.
what happens?
right? But they're also showing in like, look, the police are on our side. Like we control them, and then like and the justice system's on our side.
Yeah, I see.
It's just like we're gonna, and then like look at the judge they got for him. The conflict of interest is so astounding. Like that would have gotten thrown out in any other like court, in any other in any other state, but in New York, oh, that's okay that they have like a $500,000 in shares of United Healthcare. Wait, what? Oh, it's okay that her husband is a freaking pharmaceutical rep. Like
Yeah,
what?
Crazy.
No, that's a conflict of interest. Like,
Crazy.
but nope. Oh, that's going to be our judge. It's like they're almost slapping everyone in the face. Like you can't win. You can't win. And they're gonna, just like Jed said, they're gonna just double down on all that bullshit until we all fall back into compliance.
That's why I asked, are you guys gonna fall for it? Like, they're already talking about another flu coming up or other
Yeah.
Yeah.
lockdowns, pandemics. There's other states that are going back to mask mandates.
Right.
Wait, they're doing that right now?
Yeah.
California did,
I wasn't keeping up with it, but
but it's just outrageous. It's discouraging. There's like some things that are positive, and then other things you're just like,
Being that said, back to the whole fitness thing, even better reason why more of you should exercise to get strong, not just exercise to lose weight, because it's good for your body, good for your mind, good for
and fix
everything
your
else.
diet. Yeah.
I mean,
I do want to bring up one thing because I thought, and I don't know if we talked about it before, but I was just like, I just don't understand how some people just don't do anything at all, like any physical activity at all. You know what I mean? Like I just don't, like, I don't understand it. Like, hey, just go walk or do. They'll literally just go to work all week, and then on the weekend they'll just sit at home and just watch TV
Have everything delivered to
and
them.
do nothing and drink beers and do. And I'm just like, I'm like, do you feel good? Like, how does that feel? I don't like that. I don't get it. How you just, and that's your existence.
Laziness is a drug too, though. It's a drug. It's a drug that sometimes you have to rehab out of.
Just
like when
movement,
you get
man. Just move a
complained,
little bit. Do
just by
something.
sitting there and, because that garbage food, like, definitely brings you pleasure as you're doing it. Right? That's
Yeah.
just like a drug. right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, then you get so inflamed that everything hurts. And the last thing you want to do is cause yourself
Just
more
move
pain by
around.
getting up and
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah.
It's just like, and then they also get to a point of just absolute discussion. And then we have this whole society movement. It's like, you're a victim. It's not you, like it's okay to be fat. Like,
Yeah.
what was
course
that
not.
fat shaming thing that in
Fat
San
shaming.
Francisco? Did you see that lady? And she's like, oh, like, by you asking for a smaller piece of cake is fat shaming everybody else. Wait, what? That's crazy. Like, I thought that was so fake. I thought that was a comedy
Yeah.
thing. And I'm like, I literally had to like listen to a couple other people say, no, that is real. That I'm like, there's no way that's real. You guys are
She's
wrong
getting
about that. That's
paid
fake.
to do that.
Yeah. That's insanity. So right there, you're just destroying
Like us
humanity.
exercising is offensive.
Yes. Well, look, Planet Fitness is a judgment-free zone.
Right. Yet
And it's like,
it's not judgment free.
well, here's
They
the
will
thing.
judge you if you're loud or if you wear a tank top.
Yeah.
But like judgment-free, like, I mean, you go to any fitness center and like, are fit people actually, everyone's judging everybody without saying it, but is anybody judging you out loud? I've never seen a fit person call out a fat person and be like, why are you so fat? What's wrong with you?
Especially in old school gyms like this.
Yeah.
Like mom and pop gyms, you'll never see that.
No.
You'll see, if anybody's going to talk shit, I would say it'd be more in a corporate gym first than you would a smaller gym.
But you know where the most loud judgment comes from? Like the unhealthy people comparing to the very, very fit people. Like, oh, that's all fucking drugs.
So-
Oh, that's all this. That's all that.
Well,
I
you
see
know-
more
you
of
know-
that than I see the opposite.
The
There was-
word judgment. Oh, sorry. The word judgment is interesting because I'm hearing it more a lot from people that are, I want to say, probably in their 30s and 20s, maybe. I hear it often. Like, are you judging me? You judge? Fucking irritating, dude. Like, if somebody goes, oh yeah, I don't work out, and I go, oh, well, you really should. Are you judging me? Don't judge me. And I'm like, motherfucker, I ain't judging you. I just said you should work
Yeah.
out. How is that judging you? Well, you're judging me because I don't work out. So I'm like,
But you're bringing up.
this is a
no, I know.
thing,
No, it is.
dude.
No,
It's
it
a
is.
fucking thing,
You're
dude.
bringing. Yeah.
And I'm irritated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm like, say judgment one more time. Just say judge one more time.
Yeah. Right.
Say it.
But
Because
yeah.
something's about to happen.
Put them to
Something's
sleep.
about to happen right now. And they're like, and I'm like, yeah.
I was in Costco with a tank top on, back when I used to look really good,
Yeah.
or
You look better
was
now.
very fit, and and this older lady was just like, "That's disgusting."
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
she literally got in my face.
Wow.
Oh,
Never had that.
Yeah, and she's
Wow.
like, "Oh God, your like veins are coming out everywhere. That's gross." And I'm like,
Wow.
"Well, I'm sorry. My body offends you."
Is that what you said?
Yeah, I did.
You're so nice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been that nice. Mm.
And she's like, "Is that healthy? I don't think that's healthy. Is that healthy?" I'm like, "What? To have no fat on me?" And she's like, "I don't think that's healthy."
I mean, you could have flipped it completely and been like, well, you're disgusting.
Well, you know what I started doing, and this always this always just squashes it. I just
Yeah.
start laughing.
You do?
Yeah, I just start cracking up at myself. I'm like, yeah, I'm in bad shape.
Then you start walking away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I
would've
like
been
to say, I used to say, I have an eating disorder. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't like to eat junk.
Yeah.
That's so, yeah. Again, right? I don't know. People-
Oh, okay. Anyway, bringing it full circle, because you
Yeah.
hear that out of the youth, right?
Yeah.
And
tend to be younger.
then your optimism is that more and more people are waking up, and how are we going to follow these globalist masses? You heard of the Parisian experiment, the Parisian system that started in Germany when they overtook Poland. Like, this was pre-Nazi, this is like during the First World War thing.
Okay.
And they developed this. They learned, and this is where it all started. Like, the German learned, like, the Polish had such strong patriotic, countrymen, amongst them, and they're like, we
Mhm.
don't want to be Germans.
Right.
We love being Polish. We've been Polish for hundreds of years. And when the Germans overthrew them, they could not, no matter how much garbage and propaganda and fear, because they were like, oh, if you stop flying your flag, we're gonna, well, imprison you if we catch you flying a flag. We're gonna do all this,
Yeah.
And they just weren't having it, and they're like, well, yeah, we can't break the patriotism of these people. but they're like, but we can with their kids, right? So they
Mm.
changed their whole education system
Mm-hmm.
to repatriate them. Like literally, like they literally like got these kids to believe what our parents are so stupid to hold on to this Polish thing,
Mm.
and so they literally just started teaching them from elementary school and everything this way, and all these other countries like, damn, this is working, right? And that caught the eye of John D. Rockefeller over
Yep.
here. And he's like, we need to implement this shit
Yep.
because in America, we need slaves. Now, what he called them was cogs. We just need cogs to keep the gears running.
Mm-hmm.
We need, and this is an exact quote from him, we don't need a nation of thinkers. We need a nation of
Of
workers.
workers.
So we need to prevent thinking, critical thinking.
Yeah.
And him, and I think I can't remember the guy's name who he hired, a real intellect guy, Hayes or something, Charles Hayes, or I'm probably fucking that up. But the guy that he hired along to do this with him, they ended up starting the Department of Education, revamping the whole thing
Mhm.
to literally teach the kids just behave. And they developed the whole 8-hour
Yeah. You
thing
go to
around the
school,
9 to
you
5
get good
workday.
grades to get
Yep.
a good job, and then you just become another cog in the wheel.
And that same system is still in
Slavery
place
to death.
today.
Absolutely. They hijacked the education system to indoctrinate us on purpose.
Have you ever read Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill?
No.
You
That's
would
a
love
good
that
book.
book.
Yeah.
Pretty much, it's almost like if Rogan were to sit down with the devil and listen to his master plan.
Oh, I've heard the
It
excerpts of
came
that though.
out. It was written in
I did hear
1938,
the
but they didn't
excerpts of that.
release it until like the 60s or 70s after he had died because his wife. I think I may be wrong, but I think his wife thought if you release this now, they're going to think you're crazy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and he literally predicted this exact
Yeah,
like
and a lot of it they talk about
the
Yeah,
whole
is
system.
he's pretty
talking
smart.
about being
It
idle.
was so Orwellian.
You know, when
Yeah,
you get into
Orwellian.
where
Yeah.
There
you're
you go.
sitting around not doing anything, that's when I get in your head is when you're not staying busy. I
Yep.
start with the education system with the kids, and it was you start listening, you're like, what the fuck?
You
It's
know,
crazy.
it got kind of very suspicious or questionable when they removed God from the Pledge of Allegiance, right?
Right.
In schools, and then they removed the Pledge of Allegiance completely. So the patriotism of the
I can't
kids, like
believe
we're talking
that.
that. And then speaking of Kamala Harris fucking up the whole,
Yeah.
that's your mamala, right? You guys
I
call
remember
her,
we had to do that every morning. There was the Pledge of Allegiance, and they played the national
yeah.
anthem.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
had to stand up.
We'd stand
like
there
this
and
Yep.
every
your heart.
day.
Every morning.
take
Yep,
your
I
hat off,
remember
do
that.
the
Oh yeah, take
thing.
your hat
That
off.
was part of the thing,
Yeah.
right?
I
Yeah.
could recite it to this day. I
Dude,
guarantee
Dude, if I'm
it.
at a sporting event and some guy's talking to the national anthem, I lose my shit.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck
I
up.
was at the Jets Raiders game a couple years ago, and this drunk guy was just running his mouth during it.
Mm,
I turned around, I was like, "Can you tell your friend to shut the fuck up?"
right.
And he just like hit him like that. And the guy's like, "Oh, sorry."
It's like it's sad, but I see certain because our military leaders, our politicians, they're not working for us.
Yeah.
Like if you ask me, they are anti-American as you get. You know what I mean? And yet, when we think of pledging allegiance to our flag and our country and our government, but our government has just been gone and lost for a long time now.
Yeah.
They're all
Like
paid for.
yeah,
That's
and they're
what
actually
happened.
fighting against the American people, like because they're literally fighting for these globalist, agenda.
Well, they've been in there so long they forgot where they came from, so no longer representing the areas that
Yes,
they come from.
right.
That's what happens. Like that's why they need term limits.
There has to
Absolutely.
be.
Yeah,
There
these
has to
people,
be.
it's supposed to be
These
so like,
senators, man.
Fucking
Farmer
like
Joe
Mazie
can go-
Hirono, fucking
I
crazy
know,
ass
right?
bitch.
Like, can we
Worse,
say
but how about
goodbye?
worse than her? Like Dianne Feinstein. Like how?
Feinstein,
Like she
yeah.
was literally in there until she was just a vegetable.
And even if you are a good one,
Like
and
just
you-
like
even-
drooling out of the mouth, and they're like, "Here, sign this, vote this," And then who was voting for her? Like Nancy Pelosi's daughter.
Yeah.
It's
even
like, come
even
on.
if you're got good intentions and you stay up there for so long, how do you now know what your
Mitch
people
McConnell?
need because
Jesus.
you haven't been there in so long?
Yeah.
That's why.
And you're so detached from the working class.
they get
You're so
detached.
detached from the American people, and all these people are filthy rich. The longer you're in government, the richer and richer you get from all the inside trading and the lobbyists.
Yeah.
The lobbyists are giving you money left and right.
Yeah.
Like like the richest people are on the goddamn ethics commission. Like they're the worst, right? And they're the ones that are supposed to be catching all the other guys that are like doing it wrong, and catching the bribes and shit. When the whole thing is corrupted beyond belief. I keep saying this, but we need a revolution.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it could happen. I mean, we have the potential of
Say
it
what a
happening,
revolution.
something great to change right now or within this next
Well, wasn't
decade.
it like the '60s, right? Kind of. I mean, that was kind of going on, right? This kind of like all this
But
stuff,
yeah, but you
and
saw how they
people
squashed
were
that.
right.
Yeah.
There was things were ramping up,
That's when
right?
I
In the
suggest
60s.
You go
everybody
to
read.
Vietnam too.
And there was a
That's
lot
why I
of
suggest
riots, and there
everybody read the
was.
book Chaos, because that was
I
phenomenal.
mean,
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
but then
and
they squashed it.
it is not only phenomenal, but it will make you sick. About how
I
our
mean,
own
there was.
intelligence agencies staged that whole Charles Manson deal to literally to discredit the hippie movement. Look how sick these hippies are. They go and stab these people. The whole thing was a CIA
Wasn't he
operation.
part of the MK Ultra shit too?
Yeah, they were. Yep.
Mhm.
That was like some of the early MK Ultra stuff. That was that whole Charles Manson thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then also John Lennon was killed by the CIA too. And because he was really promoting peace amongst this Vietnam thing, like we got to have peace, and they're we can't have this.
Yeah.
Or we got to shut this guy up.
Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. I mean, you look at some
I
of the
Definitely
mean,
them.
JFK.
look at-
I mean, you go through the list of
you
everybody
look
in the
at some of the stuff
60s,
that
right?
Malcolm X actually went on the record saying,
Mhm.
and then he got assassinated, and you're like, you start thinking why.
Right.
You start kind of realizing why when you read some of his quotes, like what to be
Oh, 100%.
like. I won't say because I don't know it directly, but like telling people what to look out for and who things like that.
Oh yeah.
And he gets shot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And just but even going back to the whole when they overtook the education system and started teaching their kids, that wasn't enough. But they had like these three pillars of control. The second pillar was basically was housing. Like, you know what? We're going to make it affordable for everybody to have a house. And everyone can be a homeowner and all that kind of stuff. That whole thing was
They
designed to
sold you the dream.
put you in
Mhm.
debt and to keep you in debt.
Yep.
The whole and because back then it used to be 7-year, 10-year, and 15-year mortgages.
Yeah, but the rates were a lot higher, right?
No,
Interest
they were
rates.
quite. I mean, they were quite low,
decent?
for the
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
But
So it's
but
7, 10,
they made
15.
it even better than that. So that's when the 30-year fix came, right? They made it even better than that because they wanted more and more people to buy homes because that would keep them in debt.
Oh, locked in for 30 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're locked in debt, you're more than likely not to quit your job, to put up with more lower wages and harder work and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And it will keep you at your job. And then that wasn't enough. So they corrupted the higher education system by making these federal loans that anybody can go to college, because
Yep.
that used to be just a thing for the rich,
Right.
to go to college.
Yes.
You
I
know?
remember.
Yeah,
In
and
the '70s, and yeah.
yeah, and they're like, well, let's revamp what they're teaching people in college, and that's where everyone's like, you're getting such a shitty education now in college with all these liberal arts. So that was by design. They don't want you coming out being like an entrepreneur or
Free
thinker and stuff.
thinkers. Yeah.
And here's another thing: the ultra rich globalists. You ever wonder where their kids are going? Right. So there's these certain schools. Like one of them's in England. There's another one in Ireland, and these are every one of these kids that are at these schools. They come from billionaire parents or something, right? And what they're taught is so far different from what every other. They're literally taught you don't ever want to work for anybody. Your whole job is to start an empire, and this is how you do it. And this is how you work the banking system. This is how you get all this. And they're teaching these to high schoolers. And then you wonder how so many of these these kids of these ultra rich people always seem, you'd think, oh, they're trust fund, and a lot of them probably are, but they get
See, as
help from
well as
mom and daddy.
that
But
too. So the whole trust fund thing, they don't teach that in public school. They try to
no,
avoid you from learning how to do your own taxes
yep,
or even learn how to
Oh,
do infinite
totally.
banking, opening businesses or putting things under a trust. So, you always are going to get nailed with taxes and, they purposefully avoid you from actually learning practical things that you could use in life versus,
yep,
those
what they
loopholes
teach
are
us.
only for the rich.
right, yeah,
That's why.
they are. They really are.
They say let's tax the rich more. They put in loopholes to where the rich don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
at the same time, as an adult, we all have the choice to fucking learn all of these tax
Yeah.
codes as well too. You know, it's not only for the rich.
Well, the big one is, and the way they get away with paying zero income taxes, they borrow against their assets. But if you,
Anybody
but
can
if,
do that.
right, I know, but if like you're not going to be able to borrow a significant amount of money unless you have a significant asset, right? So if you don't already have like a multi-million-dollar home, you're not going to get $1 million
But
loan.
it starts somewhere. It has to start somewhere. It's not to say it's only for them. I know a few people, personal people that worked ground up.
Oh yeah, and there's no doubt, right? It's not like
So
a ladder that can't be climbed.
It
mhm.
could
You
be
know?
easier though.
Yeah, it
It
certainly could be
if they
easier.
taught it in
Yeah.
school but they don't want us to. They want us to maintain to be a cog in the system, you
Well, look
know?
at the majority of the taxes collected are from the lower to middle class.
Yep. Lower to middle.
Yeah, lower middle class and middle class is where the majority of the entire like tax revenue is collected. And so when they say, "Well, we're going to tax the rich," bullshit.
Hmm.
You know, we're going to have 60,000 more agents to tax the rich. No, the hell you're not,
Mm.
because they're doing. You don't think they're like they have lawyers to do everything legally? Again, like they just borrow against their assets, you know. And
Yep.
if you close that one loophole, like if you're borrowing over $1 million against an asset, you should be taxed on that. You know,
Yeah.
and if you are, then you're going to see a whole different tax code thing. You know, like a completely different tax code. But then again, I'm not all for the because you see what the government does with our money, right? It just sickens you. Like
That
they,
should be
they don't even
transparent.
deserve the billionaires' money. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just like they're irresponsible. Like they give it all away. Christ, we're facing $35 trillion in debt. Like it's just unsustainable. Like I'm just waiting for
They
the
have
mad
funds set
crash to
aside
happen.
just for hush money.
Yes.
So like some senator gets accused of something, they just pay
Yeah,
that person
right.
off to not say anything. Like there's a fund for that.
That's sick. Isn't that sick? That's sick. And going back to Josh Green, did you hear he's setting $10 million aside just to fight any Trump policies he disagrees with?
Yeah,
What?
why don't we
How
use
is
that
that?
$10
Sounds like a
million dollars to help the
personal-
people in
Right.
Maui?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Why aren't we using that to help our people
He's
in
out-
Why is he still
He's
here?
allocating
Jeez.
$10 million just in legal fees to fight any like Trump policy he doesn't deem like
last time I checked as well too, Trump's got a little bit more than $10 million, so that ain't gonna fare very well.
How-
I mean,
Josh.
and who are you to decide whether
Exactly.
I could what I disagree
How about
with?
this?
It's
The
like,
majority
well,
of the people voted for Trump.
yeah, and
You
you
Yeah.
know?
know,
Well, last time I checked, the roads are still jacked.
We voted
so
for the
Yeah.
policies
can we
that
use the money for
the
the
voted
roads?
for the policies that he said he wants to implement, you know, and
he
like
should have to use his own
and
money for that.
Exactly. Exactly. And how is
That's
that for the
whack.
betterment of the community?
Yeah.
You know, like that's just gross. And yet, how does he get away with saying it? Like, if we
Yeah.
had a media that wasn't captured, which that all started with Operation Mockingbird back in the
Mhm.
day.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
that's the
he is
thing.
that brazen enough to say it.
that's
You
what
know
I
what I
mean.
mean?
Well, he's comfortable
That
enough to
he's
say it,
paid. He
knowing
thinks
that
he's
he's not going to get any
supported from these
backlash.
people. Yeah, these people that are.
And you listen to like, see, I got shadow banned. That's when I really knew it was real during the
I got
Maui
shadow
fires type of thing. And there was some Hawaii News Now like reporter that went and interviewed Chief Pelletier, and she did this on the basis of, okay, so this is what all on. Now you go to the Hawaii News Now like page, because that's where I wrote a very lengthy like rant
Mhm.
on that page after that interview. All the comments were negative about this interview. So this lady's like, I'm basing this off of the questions that we've gotten on our webpage, you know, our Instagram page or whatever it was. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she started the interview like, I'm going to ask questions based on what the listeners, you know, have been writing on the comments and I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. And it was the most softball. It was disgusting. It was so gross. And it was just her like petting this guy's ego. Like, can you talk about the heroism that some of your officers did during the whole thing, or how heroic it must have been for you to see like when your officers like, I don't know, like saved somebody? I'm like, what? I'm like, I went through a good couple hundred of those comments on that page, and every one of them, you know, prior to that interview was none of that.
Yeah.
It was, why the fuck did this guy fucking like close the roads and block
Mm.
people in? Like,
Yeah.
why the fuck were these people not warned? Why the fuck was the water turned off? Why the fuck? You know, it was just all this kind of. It was just all negative. So I wrote this whole thing. I'm like, that was the most disgusting, act of just corruption. That interview, like, this
Mm.
woman should be fired instantly. I'm like, she is not in tune with her readers or her viewers whatsoever. And I can't remember what I wrote. And it became the number one comment on this thing that had thousands of comments, right?
Oh,
Shut
wow.
you down.
And it came the number one. And I remember I was at the beach and
Yeah,
I
I
bragged
remember
to
you
you
told me.
about it.
Yeah, you told
And
me.
I'm like, look, and on my phone, it's still there.
Yeah,
It goes on
I couldn't find it.
and it's gone. So it's
Mhm.
like nobody can see it. Only I can see it.
Yeah, I know. It was weird. I was like, where is it? And you're like, I still have it. I was like, it's
But
gone.
that's also something that they claimed. Oh, there's no such thing as shadow banning. That's not real. They don't do that on Instagram.
When you even said the comments all stopped, right? There was a
Yeah.
point when you didn't get any more responses.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and it was just all of them like went away. But yet my whole post was still there,
Right.
and it was still at the number one
Yeah,
post
on
spot.
your thing.
Yeah,
but
and then
nobody
anybody else
else
goes to it, and it's not there.
It's gone. Yeah.
I'm like, how's that?
Yeah, that's great.
You see the corruption garbage that's going on? It's just like,
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, oh yeah, that was interesting topics today.
the world will be a better place. Hopefully,
And let's
Well-
pray for no terrorist attacks.
Yes.
The inauguration while I'm there.
yes.
Make sure I make it back in one piece.
And hopefully you won't be in the gulag like the J6ers from,
I'll stay out of that mess.
oh my
He
God.
promised to do that in the first 9 minutes of like the inauguration, is to pardon them.
Yeah.
Please, Trump, keep that promise.
Yeah.
He said it multiple times, so I'm pretty sure he will.
There's a lot of things that have been done. He needs to undo, like all of the people who lost their jobs for not taking the jab.
Did you see the FBI came out about the pipe bomber? Like finally they're taking interest in it, and they offered a $500,000 reward for anybody.
wow.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Like
Hmm.
you almost like
Oh,
denied.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like you almost like pretended like there was no such thing as these pipe bomb things, and it's like, oh, shut up about that, And now that like hopefully Cash Patel takes over the FBI, and this information is going to come out, and now they're like, oh no, actually we are taking it seriously. Well, now we are, like, and then they were even released like some brand new footage that they've been sitting on.
Yeah.
I hope
You
they
know?
release everything. I hope they make
Oh,
it.
they're going
I
to
hope
destroy it.
I hope that all of that stuff comes to fruition. And even for like all of these, if Ghislaine Maxwell got in trouble for curating children for whom? That list still didn't come out.
How's this
right?
though? She's not
so
like. Did you see the prison that she got sent to? It's not even a prison. It's
Mhm.
like a hotel.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
I didn't see it.
med spa, dude. Basically, it's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah, like, she got sent to like the nicest place you can imagine, like, and guarantee like she'll be there for a couple years, and then it'll be like a house arrest in her mansion
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I hope a
You
lot
know?
of this comes to out
because
into
she's
the
keeping
open.
her mouth shut.
Yep, that's it.
You
Yep.
know,
That was a fantastic rant for today. For
All
the
right,
first,
well-
first
Yeah.
day back.
Yeah, first day back. Next week we'll probably definitely be getting into
we'll
more
go back into
bodybuilding.
bodybuilding. Sorry,
Fitness and
Health and
bodybuilding,
fitness.
but since it was the new year, we wanted to get
get that
this
off our
stuff
chest
off our chest and
Yeah.
talk about some crazy topics, but real
because we
real
don't have
stuff.
enough time to get into all of that.
real stuff.
Add us
real
on
stuff.
Rumble in case we get kicked off YouTube.
Yeah,
after
yeah,
this
yeah.
episode.
Please.
The
I know.
episodes are going
There was
up
a
slowly. I've
there was a
almost
lot
got-
of words that we said today
Yeah.
that probably
Everything we say is alleged.
It's almost
Legend.
up there. I've almost got all the episodes up there.
all
So
right.
Nice.
Go add us there too. Show some
Oh my
support and all that
gosh.
shit.
Like, share, comment, subscribe.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
if you're not woken up, please wake up
Wake up.
Yes.
All right.
to what's happening.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll see you next time on Paradise Pump. Aloha.